All right, it's your boy Pro. I'm back. I saw this video on Riva TV. Shout out to her for bringing it to light and speaking on it. From the people who sent it to her, I went and found it on TikTok and wanted to just give my personal opinion on this. Not spitting facts, not spitting, gospel. Just my thoughts on her thoughts. Go.
What do you think the challenge is that women are having, black women in particular, when it comes to becoming a wife?
Keeping it 100,
Yes.
there's not enough eligible black males who fit the needs of black women. By the time you dissect the demographics of finances, sexual orientation, what you end up drilling down into, because black women tend to want to marry black men.
Right.
So black women are excelling. They're getting accelerated degrees, graduate degrees, doctorate degrees. They're starting businesses. Black women are running circles around men.
Right.
And it's also shown in research that women want to marry on their same level of financial and educational status.
Yeah.
So if you're a black woman making $150,000 a year with a master's degree, you tend to want to marry a black man on that same level or higher. If black women are excelling at such an accelerated rate, how do men keep up with that?
What do you think?
So, so much to go into. Yeah, I got some opinions on that. Now, I will say that she is correct about black women in their advanced degrees in America. They are kicking black men's butts in that. But if you add context, you'll understand that more black men have the opportunity to make six figures and up without having to get an advanced degree than black women do. There's more opportunities for a black man to make six figures and up as a professional athlete, as a professional actor, as a professional musician. So not as many men, not as many black men are even attempting to get an advanced degree. So that helps with black women in their race to the most advanced degrees amongst black people, regardless of gender. Like, we not even trying to get advanced degrees like that. So that's not really a race that we care about as a black man who hangs out around other black men. But with that aside, let's get into it, man. Cause I'm trying to be calm, cool, and collected, and not just go on a rant. But there's certain like things that I want to add to what she said, so that you get a 360-degree view of this actual topic when it comes to black women searching for or being frustrated when it comes to marrying black men. So black women, based on my perspective, the way I see this, look, black women are mostly pursued by black men. They're not pursued by Mexicans and Asians and Caucasians at the same rate that they're pursued by black men. So that little jab of, black women mainly want to marry black men, as if I took that as a jab, like, we want to marry y'all, but y'all don't want to marry us. Y'all want to marry Becky. That's how I took that. Maybe she didn't mean it that way, but that's how I took it. So I'm looking at it like, hold up, y'all want to marry black men. Part of that reason, part of your propensity to marry black men is the fact that black men are pursuing y'all at a higher rate than any other man. So like you have more options with black men. How many Asian men are knocking down your door? So of course you're marrying black men more often. That's what's in your face all day. When it comes to being together, like is the white guy that you having an affair with at work, is he gonna bring you home to his white family? Is he gonna do it as often as the black guy will? And then when you have certain frustrations in dealing with racism or just dealing with cultural norms, knowing what to do, what not to do, where to do it, having a certain having a certain type of appetite, like you feel more comfortable with black men. So of course you want to marry black men. Like if you know, like if you marry a white man and he puts raisins in the potato salad, you know what I'm saying? Or he says the N-word when he's singing a rap song in front of your black friends, like it's certain awkwardness that black women want to avoid. So don't make it seem like like y'all are more disciplined, or y'all are more, that like black women are more for the culture than black men are, because black men are stepping outside the race more often. Like black men are black men have more racial options in dating than black women do in my perspective, like in my eyes, from what I've seen. But I'm not saying that that's statistically right. I'm saying from what I've seen, you know, anecdotal evidence. From what I've seen, growing up in LA, like being a black man, it has its cons in society, and then it has its pros, just like any other race or any other gender, whatever. But when we're dealing with romance and sexuality, it's like Asian, Indian, Arab, white, Asian, like Hispanic, whatever, like black men, if we pursue enough, we're gonna get most of those at least one time. The hardest is probably gonna be Middle Eastern, Arabic, and like Indian. But like black, white, Asian, and Hispanic women, like black men don't have a hard time, you know, getting attention from those races or those cultures. And then as far as the fact that it's a woman, like a black woman, because you can't even just, like, we have it's hard to compare, even though black women and black men are both black. The fact that black women are women, we can't just completely compare, as far as it's not completely comparing apples and apples when talking about who gets access to different races. Men, period, well, no matter what their race is going to get more access, or maybe more, have more experiences with other races, because the fact that men are the one doing the pursuing. So if the woman holds true to societal norms and she's waiting to get pursued, that automatically puts her at a disadvantage when it comes to, you know, surveying different races, because I don't know how many Asian and Indian guys are gonna be knocking down the black woman's door in America. But since the black guy is not just black, since he's also a guy, and he's tasked with the duty to make the, you know, first impression or to make the approach, then if me as a black guy, if I hit on enough Arabic or enough Indian women, as hard as it's gonna be, eventually I'm gonna get one, just because I'm putting in the effort. Whereas a black woman, or any woman, period, but a black woman, mainly because she's a woman, not because she's black, is waiting for the guy to approach her. So it might be an Indian or Asian guy who's trying to approach her, who wants to approach her and likes her, but he doesn't have the heart to do it. He doesn't have the guts to do it because he thinks that he's going to get cussed out, whatever. So for her to say black women, tend to marry black men more often, like, it's like, well, yeah, duh, like the numbers, like there's the circumstance makes, it creates that type of situation. The circumstance builds for that to be a true statistic. All right, next. Black women start to become entitled from having options. Women, period, but that's not like a black women thing. That's a woman thing. From my perspective, I feel like women have so many options because the man is the one doing the pursuing. So that includes black women too. But it's really, I mean that for all women. But yeah, so the entitlement of, you gotta make six figures, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. Like, they look at your status, they look at your status in your status in society, they look at your income level, they look at the prestige of your job title. Like, that's what they're judged on. I mean, that's what they're judging us black men on. And that's going to lead them to making bad decisions, because when you're talking about a life partner, like, the last thing you should be doing is judging based off of those superficial aspects. But, I digress. So, also, next, black women start choosing these superficial attributes and holding on to them for years. As you're holding on and waiting for the guy who makes six figures like you or more, or has the Range Rover, the Benz, whatever, the designer closet, like, you waiting for that, you getting older. And remember, your clock is not my clock. So you the one who might want to have kids. So you don't want a geriatric pregnancy. So that's something that's that clock that women have in their head. They put it on the man, or the frustration from that. They hit men over the head with it eventually. But at the end of the day, while you waiting for that perfect guy who makes $200,000 a year and drives a Range, your frustration is coming from the fact that you have unrealistic expectations based off of materialistic attributes, and you are running out of time, and you are. But you're so stubborn because you feel like since you made it out, or since you were able to overachieve based on being a black woman in America, you deserve this type of man, as if the universe is just, okay, here you go. Like you could just press a button, but you can't. So as time goes on, you get more frustrated. Then the men that you are dealing with, you completely intolerant, but then at the same time, you run out of time to have kids. Your beauty is waning as the years go on. So that it's like it creates a bad situation for whatever guy you do end up dealing with in the meantime, because the frustration is there. And then he wants to feel it out and see if you guys can last forever or whatever, or see if this is something he really wants to do, because he could take a loss if y'all marry and end up divorcing, especially if y'all have kids too. Like, the man could take such a loss to everything he's built financially that he's, as black men, we're taking our time. Not to mention we don't have to bear children, so we have more time, like biologically. So the woman, that it's almost like the black woman and the black man, their goals are not aligned. She wants to know if this is the real thing as quickly as possible so that she can have the kid and like safely, and, you know what I'm saying, without complications at a certain age. And the guy is like, whoa, slow down. He wants to, us black men, we want to make sure that you ain't gonna Tyrese us, basically, like or you ain't gonna do what Tyrese said his ex-wife did to him, allegedly. So we're not trying to fall for the okie doke and be paying alimony and child support, like. Now if she is a 6-figure earner, that doesn't automatically stop her from thinking that way or pulling one of those tricks, because she could be a 6-figure earner and I could be a 7-figure earner, or I could be a high 6, she could be low 6, either way. And then you also have some women who, it ain't even about the money, it's about the kid. They just want someone to have a kid with. They really don't care about whether you guys stick together as a family. She wants her baby because she feels like her child is going to be the one person in the world who will always need her and love her unconditionally. So that, now you're talking, that's a whole nother, YouTube episode right there, in and of itself. The woman who wants the baby and doesn't care about anything else, and it's like a selfish gift that she wants to give herself. Who cares about the family, or who cares about what the dad wants, or and once she gets it, then she bounces with the baby. She knows the court's gonna give her the baby. She ain't tripping. Like, we've seen that. And so a guy, he's moving slowly because he don't want to deal with that either. It's just like we on different times, basically. But next, black men see what attracts black women, and then they start to get resentful and disenchanted with black women. So if I'm a black man and I'm just a good guy, I have a master plan eventually, taking my time, not taking the quick short route, not trying to get rich quickly and end up doing something stupid, and I'm treating women right, and then I see all the beautiful women that I want, they are going after the average or ugly looking guy who has the money and the fame and the power and whatever. So then the good black guy sees that and gets disenchanted and resentful, like, oh, that's what y'all hoes want, all right. Like, and then he start calling black women hoes, and all kinds of bitchs, like, because it's like frustration, like, because when we were kids, we were taught by our mothers or by teachers or by TV to be polite and be Prince Charming and stuff like that. So when you grow up and that ends up not being what the women around you want, then men are gonna get a certain type of way about it. Those good men, right? So then those black men start to throw away their moral teachings and throw away chivalry and all the politeness and stuff that they're taught, right? And then start basically playing, nice guys finish last. That type of mentality starts to creep in, and no one Mr. Nice Guy. And then they start watching videos about like being like a manly man and like putting women in their place and stuff like that. Like, that starts with the woman treating the good guy like shit, just keeping it real. And then black women, we see that black women don't investigate their man's past, right? So they'll get with a man who don't know how to be a husband or a boyfriend, grew up in a broken home, all that stuff. So he gives her all that nonsense. He brings all that baggage into the relationship. They have a horrible relationship, but she don't care. She wants kids. They're hoping that having a kid is gonna fix things, or maybe she just is feeling like, well, I'm gonna get something out of this. I'm gonna get me a kid. Like, I don't need him. And I've met women like that who just wanted the kid. They didn't care if I was around or not, but they definitely wanted that kid. and they know they can't have it by themselves. So you gotta understand there's women out there that be on that type of time. So then they have a kid, let's say they have a daughter, and then they raise the daughter with all kinds of negativity and hate and resentment in their minds because, oh, your daddy ain't shit and man ain't shit. You just need to get that money, get your man, get your guap and get up out of there. Get you a Birkin bag and bounce, like all this nonsense because the mom decided to marry or to get with a deadbeat. Like, so then now they like telling their daughter that all men are like that. No, you just chose the wrong one, dumbass. Like, that's on you. All men ain't like that. There are plenty of eligible men out here, but y'all ignoring them because they not making more money than you. Like, come on, wake up, idiot. Like, what do you man, anyways, trying to be nice, but that's so frustrating to see the women who think like that, like, make the same mistake over and over again. Like, it's more to the relationship than what he makes or what he owns. But anyways, when the black man finally obtains the black woman's bait, they exact revenge on the black woman, and basically they treat him like shit. Like, okay, a black man finally gets the Range Rover, the black card, but they get the 6-7 figure job, and then they see that their luck starts to change with black women. Suddenly they have more options, and then they're like, damn, none of this was happening until I had all these material things. Oh, so you don't really like me for me. And then then they just start to like get bitter, and then you wonder why they out here hoeing, the guys, male hoeing, you know what I'm saying, hoeing and showing, you know what I'm saying, thotting and bopping all over the city. But it's like, because they no longer care, because they see, it's like finding out that that Santa Claus ain't real. So then it's gonna be like a negative reaction. So it's like, oh damn, this is what women really want. So they go off, and then they it's hard to cope with that, which they probably need. A lot of men. Well, I think everybody needs. Everyone could benefit from therapy. But yeah, it's like being in shock, I think. So yeah, black women take their experience and with the deadbeat, with the asshole that they dated, and they assume that that's the norm for all men. But a lot of the men that you meet like that, they were turned into that by a chick with no moral compass, or with no, you know what I'm saying, without the proper teaching, without the proper leadership. A lot of times men and women got to understand what they're supposed to bring to the table, and black women can't keep saying, I am the table. That answer is not part of the multiple choice. You cannot answer that question, what do you bring to the table, by saying I am the table. That literally is illogical. It don't make no sense. You cannot be the table. The table already exists. You can only bring something to it. You cannot be the table. So they choose a bum, had kids with him, then taught their daughters to use the men, to use use men instead of loving them. But then they get mad and say, oh, ain't no good men. What did you do to the good men that were there? You converted them. You got to take ownership of that. Black women don't take responsibility for raising or changing the deadbeats that they encounter. You got to take advantage. You got to take responsibility for that. The fact that a man comes out of a woman's womb automatically places more responsibility on the female in the world when it comes to raising a male in raising a boy with the right mindset towards women or how to treat women. Like a man needs to, a boy's father has to teach him how to be a man, but at the end of the day, that's referring to like manly duties and tasks and jobs. But as far as like a man's mindset towards women and a man's approach towards women, like women actually have a say so in that, because a man, how is a boy's father supposed to tell him how women want him to approach them when the boy's father is not a woman himself? He's a man. So the boy's mother, whose womb he came out of, right, who created the first bond with him that he ever had in his life, is supposed to sit him down, or supposed to, nurture him or mentor him on how a woman thinks, what a woman wants, how to deal with a woman when she, with her good side and her bad side. Like, women need a school, need to teach, need to train boys on how to deal with them. The father can't do that because the father has never been a woman. So I'm waiting for women to to own that part of it. The dad has to own the other aspects of being a man, right? But when it comes to the boy's relationship with women, that's on the mom and the sisters, and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's on other women, other females. Black women think that a master's degree in human resources or sociology, an overpriced piece of paper that put them $100,000 in debt, makes them more valuable to a black man, or maybe to the world. But it does not in a black man's eyes. Most, like, I'm not gonna say most, but I know me as a black man, I'm not looking at a black woman's education. I'm not looking at her resume to see like if I'm splitting hairs, like if it's like two twins and they're both beautiful and have great personalities, then I guess I'll look at their education and their profession. But outside of that, like, I'm focused on my education and my profession, because that's what I'm expected to do in society as a man, is to have a great job and a great income and be the provider and stuff like that in the family. Like, that's what I'm supposed to bring to the table. That's what I'm supposed to be good at. Society says that she's supposed to be good at other things, like raising the kids, like calming me down when I'm making dumb decisions, like having a sixth sense on when to make a move and when not to make a move, right? When I'm being like too aggressive or being like full of testosterone or eager to make a decision to go in a certain direction, she can say, whoa, baby, like, chill out. Maybe we should think about this. Maybe, okay, maybe you should call this person first and ask them before you write that check, like, or before you know what I'm saying, swipe that card, like, or before we move to that city, like, it's like having a counselor or having a therapist, or help, like everyone has their things that they bring to the table. So, and even, I don't want to name things that are like stereotypical of what women used to do, but it seems like there's no problem putting men in the category of like, oh, financial earner or stuff like that. But if you say something like a woman, being a homemaker, it's like offensive. But it's like you realize in a relationship, someone has to be in charge of the home. So it's like, instead of taking it offensively, like, we have to understand everyone's gonna play a role in so, but and men and women have certain innate abilities, certain skills that we are naturally better at than the other gender. So, and someone, like, everyone has to be willing to play their part instead of taking offense to being expected to do a certain part. Oh, I don't want to do that because, that's how it used to be in the old days. So, okay, someone's going to have to do it. Someone has to take out the trash. Someone has to, make money. Someone has to cook. Someone has to pick up the kids from school. Like, who cares who does it? Just, as long as someone is doing it. Who cares if you want me to cook and I'm the man? Okay. But just know that when I'm cooking, there's other things I can't do that need to be done for the house, for the household, for the family. So as long as you're willing to do it, then okay. But as long as, you're willing to do it. If you're not willing to do it, then you can't have, you know what I'm saying? So the person who's in charge of making the house a home can't also be the person who, or shouldn't also be the person who's in charge of, being the primary breadwinner. So, but yeah, those are just some things I wanted to get off my chest. Or some of the things that I felt needed to be added to this discussion so that it was a fuller conversation with more depth, because her approach was so partial. It was so biased. It was despicable. But I digress. But yeah, that's all I want to say. This pro coming back at you with another episode. Relationaire 360. We here to master relationships in general, relationships and teamwork. So let's do it to the highest, depth until we hit mastery. Until next time, I'm out.